Hello again, and welcome back to Illegally Cited. This is Jesse, and yeah, it is that time of year again. I am back for kind of a 2022 recap series, and yeah, it's really hard to believe that 2022 is almost over as I'm recording this, and recording this a little bit ahead of time, mid-December here, but just wanted to make sure that I had all this stuff ready for the last few days of the year, some bonus content for you guys, and just, looking back at another pretty interesting year in a lot of ways. So, um, there are going to be, I believe, 5 videos. I was going through literally last night and trying to. I'm not really going month by month, but I'm breaking it down by category of different things. So, like today, the first day is going to be um, just a lot of my game highlights, and these are mainstream games. We're going to be taking a look at those. Tuesday, because again, I'm such a huge fan of the first person shooters and retro first person shooters, especially. And believe me, there was a ton of those suckers this year, demos, early access, full game releases, whatever. Tuesday is going to be all about that. Wednesday is going to be or the third day. I don't know if this is going to be Monday through Friday, but leading up to New Year's anyway. Day 3 is going to be all about accessible games, blind accessible games. So I'm going to basically, lump in console games, PC games, mobile games, but it's just going to be just my thoughts on the year in review as far as game accessibility goes. What kind of fun games did we get to play? Some surprises, some disappointments, whatever. And then Thursday is, or day 4 is going to be kind of just a little bit of everything else, like things that I have done over the year, some of my highlights, not just like, things that I've done, channel highlights, things that I've done for consulting, cool little swag, cool things that I ended up getting. I got my Xbox Series S just not long ago, a few other odds and ends. So we're just going to do, a little bit of that. And then day 5 is going to be a look ahead to 2023. And we're going to look at I'm going to chat about some games that are coming out, some, new devices that may be coming out, and some of my plans that I would love to accomplish in 2023. Whether I do or not, or whether I'm able to or not, I don't know. But we'll figure it out. So that being said, let's dive right into day 1 here. Now you probably notice that it is dead quiet here, but we do have a game up on the background. I was trying to figure out, I was thinking like a fireplace type of thing, just an ambient thing like I did before. And then I remembered, I was still trying to think this morning, right before recording this, like what could I do for ambient background so it's not just 5 days of, staring at wallpaper or staring at the, illegally cited YouTube channel. And then I remembered, this year is the year of TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We'll get into that today too. But the Cowabunga collection, one of its cool features is that I can literally hit X and it will just kick back and play itself. Like it's just like you can watch the game and then jump in at any time. So I'm just going to let the game kind of play itself. And today we are going to look at Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game, the true arcade game, while I talk. So you guys can chill out and watch that while I ramble about some game highlights of 2022 as we go in to rescue April from the burning apartment building. So here we go. Games of this year. Now, I also want to mention that some of these maybe might not have come out in 2022 because I can't remember, but if I played them, if I got around to playing them, I'm going to put them in my highlights because, it's my site, my list, and why not? The first one, Psychonauts 2. That one's been in development forever. I haven't finished it yet because I was playing it on PC and my rig earlier this year kind of went to crap. And so I was kind of waiting to get a new one before I went back into it again. Psychonauts 2 was actually pretty cool because, it took the platforming, but it's not like your snow level, your grassland or whatever. Everything is based on this weird. And I did a video of it too. You're playing Raz and you're the Psychonaut. And you have all these like brain powers, and everything is based on like the thoughts in somebody's head, which is what I really found unique just about that whole series in general. So good 3D platformer, really neat. I mean, I love the humor, I love the personality. Just a really neat kind of game. Oh, and then there's the second one, Vampire Survivors. Dear God in heaven, that one came out of nowhere. I think technically some people said it might have, the first early access build might have released in like late 2021, but like most people, I don't think we learned about it until like January 2022. And this game, I don't even know what really I think because it was so dirt cheap. I think it was like $2 at the time, which was just astonishing. Um, I mean, come on, I've done a video, I've done a spotlight video on it. I've streamed it, I think 5 times or so this year, and I'm still playing it. I just downloaded it for the Xbox and I'm playing it through it for the achievements there. The mobile version literally just came out a couple nights ago during the Game Awards as I'm recording this. So, I mean, something so simple. All you need is an analog stick or WASD on the keyboard. And it's just this like overhead, they call it bullet heaven, but it's like a bullet hell fantasy where you're just like, you're getting constant power ups and experience, and like you're fighting Castlevania type enemies. You're using literally like Castlevania esque weapons, holy water, whips, axes. I mean, it is just like I'm honestly kind of surprised they got away with it without Konami going, "Hey, you got to change some of this stuff." But addictive, good lord. Vampire Survivors, and I think it's like $5 when it hit full release just about a month ago. Vampire Survivors, you guys, if you're low vision and can see it well enough to play it, I will warn you, it will suck up God knows how much time, but it is absolutely worth it. I mean, the amount of value that you get for that is astonishing. And it is absolutely one of my highlights and surprises of this year because I did not see that coming. Oh, the addiction continues. Power Wash Simulator. It is a great chill game when I need to relax, maybe when I need to stay occupied and do something when I'm listening to a podcast or an audiobook or maybe a work meeting on occasion. I would never do such a thing. But yeah, I mean, Power Wash Simulator, they came out with the version 1.0 earlier this year. It's got the whole campaign has got tons of levels in it. There's a few extra levels. It has multiplayer now. And it's so relaxing and so oddly satisfying. I know, like, I used it literally, I think last year for my end of year videos. So come on, I was playing it even in early access back then. But Power Wash Simulator, absolutely in my top games of the year. Really chill. Between that and Vampire Survivors, these are two games that, again, I can just play to relax. I can play while listening to something else. The audio isn't really all that crucial, although that ding when you clean an object successfully and you hear the ding to tell you that it's complete is really satisfying. Power Wash Simulator, yeah, it is definitely a highlight for me this year. God of War PC and God of War Ragnarok. I'm going to lump these two in together because they're both God of War. Again, the original God of War for PC. Well, I was playing it until my HP computer shit itself. So I kind of had to stop there because my current rig, I don't think would run it very well. And if it did run it, it would really not be happy about it. So I had to really put that on the back burner. I was liking what I was playing so far. I got a decent amount into the game, and I got a video out of it before my computer crapped out on me. And God of War Ragnarok, this could also, I might mention this, well, I will mention this in the accessibility day as well. But the thing is, it does have some really great accessibility features in it. But I will say that there are some really, I don't know if I'd say substantial issues, but there are some issues where I don't know, for some reason there are a couple puzzles or a couple things, and even with the traversal sometimes that can be really odd. I'll try to remember to talk some more about those on Wednesday or on day three's video. But yeah, I mean, God of War, kudos to them for winning the innovation and accessibility category and for the accessibility features. The story, I mean, what I've played of both of them, I mean, the story in both games are really good, and I think that's what it does really well. The combat is fun. I'm not a super fan of the puzzles, especially some of these like secondary puzzles, like in the Ragnarok. The ones that I don't like right now are the ones where you gotta use an arrow and like build a chain reaction to blow things up. It just doesn't work the way that it seems like it should sometimes. But those God of War, we'll talk more about those in the third day video. Horizon Forbidden West. This is one I did get from the developer, from the publisher, and it's a neat game. It looked really good. It sounded really good. Just something in the gameplay wasn't super clicking. And again, like it had some really nice accessibility features in it, but I found that I was still overlooking things. Like I remember looking for this like ladder that was really blending into the environment in one area. There was another place where I really wasn't sure what I was supposed to be doing or where I was supposed to go. And so there was still like a lot because again, um, because the environments are so detailed, they look great, but that can actually be a detriment to accessibility in some ways because you're like, well, there's so much I'm looking at here. What am I supposed to do? So they made some nice strides, but I think that I still, and the story just it wasn't sucking me in enough to really make me persevere. Like I played it okay ways into the game, but it just didn't click with me the way I was hoping, and I wish that maybe some of the accessibility was maybe just a little bit better. Sifu, that is a pleasant surprise again that I would love to play more, and especially since they added post-launch this summer, they added some difficulty modes, which I know some people are just upset about. God forbid, people might want to actually play the game the way they want to. But this third-person, really skill-based combat game, I got to like the end of level 2 and I'm just getting absolutely wrecked. And again, this is one that I played on my HP PC, and I don't know that it would run super well on my current rig, so it was another one that I sort of put on the back burner. But Sifu, I'm definitely wanting to return to that, and I should. Well, no, that's right. It's an Epic exclusive. Because if it was on Steam, I would just put it on my Steam Deck and try it that way. That would be a perfect game for it. But unless it does come to Steam, um, I'll just wait until I get my new rig. But I really, really enjoyed, even like with as difficult as the game was. I mean, it was it was fast. I love the like, that you could just leap over things and grab improvised weapons, and it was like this Hong Kong action martial art movie. It was really cool. Sifu. Astalon. I don't know if I've released this video yet, but you will see it eventually here. This is it's a really neat 8-bit style retro platformer where you have at least, what is it, 3 or 4 different characters that you can switch between, and they all have different abilities and skills. And just the overall gameplay, the graphics, the music, just it really just screams NES, and it was just really, really fun to play. I picked it up for the Switch and the PC because I got it on sale for the Switch, and I originally played it on the PC. But Astalon is a really fun little game, so check that out video when it comes out. I really enjoyed it. Puzzle Quest 3. I'm almost embarrassed to say how much I played that the first half of this year. And here's the worst part is it's a good game. I really love the fact that like it's not just like one turn per move or one move per turn. If you like you have to kind of build a few moves in your head, and then if you quickly you can swap two, three, even four different combos if you're really fast. I know that's horrible for people with like a mobility impairment who just can't physically do that, and that sucks that there's no like extended timer for that to happen. But it wasn't just okay, you make your move, I make my move. You could get a few different moves in there and just chain brutal combos together. And I loved the first two Puzzle Quest games. And the gameplay mixed it up a little bit. It was still Puzzle Quest, but it still had these extra things. But it's the damn free to play microtransactions bullshit. Like they really had this, I did like a 1 month there. They had a free trial for 1 month just so you could do it. And I did just so I can get a whole bunch of extra resources, and then I canceled it right away when it was right before it was done. The free trial was done, but it's like you have this, a monthly subscription for one game. This is not an MMO. I'm playing it by myself. Don't gate things by grinding endless resources and like not being able to play the main game or the story and the it's a freaking puzzle game, guys. You have a solid game here, and I really liked it. But shortly after I got back from my summer vacation, this summer, I just kind of stopped playing it for a few days, and then finally the addiction kind of went away, and I really haven't come back to it. So I really like the game. I do, but it's all this new age. Like I said, everything has to be a live service and a free to play model and microtransactions and bend over. I'm so tired of it, and I know that's what it's probably going to be more going forward. And it's just like I'm an old man yelling at everybody now, but you know what? That's fine. I'll keep doing it, whatever. Tunic. This was a neat one. Kind of an isometric. Really like the kind of almost cell shaded style of this game. Kind of a Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past esque game, but it had some really neat sort of different types of mechanics and like I said, the whole isometric thing. Um, Really neat looking game. Had a really couple nice accessibility features. Like one in particular, if you were really having trouble, you could literally turn God mode on and just get through a boss and then turn it off again. The way that it used like you were building this old school NES manual and you had to kind of piece things together and like, oh, now I can do that's what this ability is supposed to be for. There was a lot of weird kind of discovery in that game that made it more than just your action adventure title. It was a really neat deal. Oh, Jitsu Squad. This is another surprise. I think I heard about this on a podcast. A 2D beat 'em up brawler like we're looking at here, but it is like anime type of stuff and it is just batshit insane. There's stuff everywhere on the screen constantly. It is super fast. It's actually really fluid. Um, Played it on the PC. I think it's coming to the Switch, although I'm wondering how well it'll run that. But yeah, it is just Jitsu Squad was another really pleasant surprise that I thoroughly enjoyed. It was just a really fun, amped up style beat 'em up. Loved it. Aperture Science Desk Job. Just a short little game, short little experience, but worth mentioning. It was meant to showcase the Steam Deck that Valve released this year. God, it's hard to believe that that just came out earlier this year. Um, just a fun little thing. I did basically a full playthrough it because it only takes like what 10 minutes to play through. But yeah, it's a really neat little game, and I love just the humor that Valve always puts in their Portal related games. Really looking forward to that. Oh, one that I didn't put on here because I can't play it yet. I'll have to play it next year when I get my rig. Is there's a remastered Portal. Basically, the ray tracing added to the original Portal, and I would kind of like to check that out. So, yay, Valve, doing some stuff. Kirby and the Forgotten Land. God, that came out this year too. Wow. This is one that I really didn't cover on the channel, but I played on my Switch. Kirby games have been hit and miss for me. Some I like, some I'm kind of meh. This one was pretty enjoyable. I've kind of gotten far enough in where it's kind of getting annoying because I don't have enough of the little stars or whatever I'm collecting to unlock a late level. And so I have to go back and try to figure out at least a few more that I've missed. But you know, the bosses, the abilities, the mouthful mold, we were just like, and then just like chomping down on literally a car or a vending machine or just it's just fun, colorful nonsense, and it's kind of great. So Kirby, not too bad. And there's a new Kirby coming out next year that I'm kind of almost like a remaster. It looks like of a 2D game that I'm kind of looking forward to. Godfall, I might have mentioned this last year, but I'm putting it here because I played a lot of it the first couple of months before my rig died. Um, a third person action game. I streamed it a couple times, two, three times. When I was playing it, and I beat the core game, like I was to the late game, post game content, and it was really fun. Um, just a lot of people just really hated this game when it came out. It was an early PS5 game, and we're like, oh, it's just simple, it's dumb, there's not much here. I don't know, man. It was kind of have this Diablo-esque thing where you're always getting loot and equipment, and you got big weapons, and you're just slicing the crap out of enemies and bosses. No, I actually really enjoyed Godfall, contrary to what other people would believe. I enjoyed it. So, Godfall, yeah. Oh, I don't think I've released this video yet either. Mr. Driller Drill Land. This is a series, it's a little puzzle game where you're digging down these colored blocks and you have to collect, your oxygen to stay alive and not get crushed by falling blocks. Simple in concept, but this game is really neat because you had your classic mode, but then you also had other like modern twists on the mode where you would have to play the game a little bit differently. Very, very cool version of that puzzle game. So that is one that I definitely want to play more as well. I got really into that for a little while this year. Dead Cells accessibility update. Oh, that game is just so brutal. But it's really really good, and some of the low vision features that they added, being able to dim the backgrounds and stuff, kind of made me jump back into it for a while again. But like I said, I'm doing so many other things. It's like it's part like gamer ADD, and partly like I'm trying to get other things done, and there's other things I want to do, and so it's another one that I've never beaten, but um, it's just one that I really like and would like to keep playing again. But Dead Cells, it's like a 2D action platformy um, roguelite type of thing, almost like your Rogue Legacy type of game. Which, oh, I didn't put that one on here either, but Rogue Legacy 2 actually came out with a full version, and I haven't even had a chance to play that yet, which I want to. So hopefully I'll get around to that one day. What do we got here? Oh yeah, Gigabash. This is your little kaiju brawler type of deal. Not quite is the type of thing that I was hoping for, but I still liked it. It was, it's just a fun little like, oh, you're monsters, you beat the crap out of each other. Sometimes maybe you got to destroy certain things in the environment. It's all about big Japanese style monsters just beating the living crap out of each other. Um, and I had some fun with that this summer. Pretty good. Um, Gunlocked. Oh, this was that one. I think it's kind of like a Vampire Survivors, but in space, kind of a thing. And you had different ships that you could do, and it was really neat. I think it's still in early access, but from what I played of it, I liked it so far. Now we get to the two titles here. Like I said, this year is the year of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We got the Shredder's Revenge this summer, which is an all new, just lovingly created tribute to the original arcade game. It's an original game, all new levels, like a voice acting from the original cast, although I wish there was more of it. Fun game. I own it on Switch and PC. And then we have the Cowabunga collection, what we're looking at here. A collection of like, what, five or six? No, there's more than that even. No, there's like 13 of them, I think they said, wasn't it? But like so many of these classic games the arcade games, the original NES version. You got the Turtles arcade and NES version. Turtles in Time, yes. Arcade and Super Nintendo version. Hyperstone Heist, the Game Boy games, Tournament Fighters. Um, just, God, Digital Eclipse is just killing their retro collections, and there's one more that I'll mention later in this video. These guys know how to pay tribute and bring back game collections. They need to clone hire like 800 more people and just start cranking these collections out because the way they do it is just so well done. This was excellent, but what they even did later this year was just so good. But yes, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, two games in 1 year, one throwback and one all new game, and they were both awesome. Yes, because I still remember that, what, 2012, 2013 one that I was looking forward to, and it just sucked. I was so disappointed with that. So I'm so glad these are good. The Stanley Parable, the redone, the Ultimate Deluxe or whatever it was called, the Stanley Parable. Oh dear God, that was that was one of my last streams. It was it was just like you could play basically the original game content, and then it branched out, and it was so meta because it made fun of like game sequels and the original game and reviewers. And I mean, it was just the new content and the way it riffed on itself and gaming in general. Like I said, sequels and expectations and the fans and reviewers and the narrator. It was just the bucket. Some of the gags that you wouldn't think that, oh, just going through same environments with a bucket would actually, that just seems like a horrible idea. But they did it so well, and the humor in that game is just, it's just so delightful. We actually had a fair number of viewers during that stream and an engagement in that video, and it was just fun. That is absolutely one of my highlights of the year. And I love it. Like I said before, I want at least one really good humorous video for a year, whether it's like Jazz Punk or the Stanley Parable or just something like that, because it's just really fun to have something like that. The Stanley Parable is awesome. Romancevania demo. I had to mention this. I know it's not coming out until next year, but what was there was pretty polished. I did a video for it. I believe, yeah, I did a video for it. Basically, your 2D. It's like 2D Castlevania Symphony of the Night meets wacko Dracula dating sim. It shouldn't work, but it does. It's actually really kind of funny, and I really want to see the full game. Romancevania, that one we'll be looking forward to. Oh God, Arcade Paradise. I fell hard for this game for a while this summer, this fall. Arcade Paradise, you're running a laundromat that your dad wants you to take over, and you have an arcade in the back. You got to, in the beginning especially, you got to balance like making money from the laundry to buy more arcade games, and like you're managing everything. You got a jukebox that had a couple real gems in there that I found so far. What was it called? Thousand Hand Slap, I think it was called. I mean, they had all these, the music, it was cool because they were these songs that were almost like parodies or tributes to like mid 80s or 90s. Like this one, I kind of think it was a cheesy, almost like a Limp Bizkit, 90s new metal, but like kind of early 90s rock, really cheeseball, but it was just really funny and it got stuck in my head for like 2 weeks. But yeah, Arcade Paradise, that was a really, really, again, I didn't even know about that game until it literally came out, and that's another one I really want to get back into because I haven't fully upgraded my arcade yet, and it is fun. That is a great game. Gotham Knights, I was disappointed in this one, honestly. Like it was okay, but I wish some of like I had trouble with some of the crime solving scenes, like you had to puzzle together like, oh, this connection and that connection. Um, just some of it was really visually hard to see with the cursor. I wish some of the open world navigation was a little bit better. It would the waypoint marker, like you would have arrows when you were on the bike, but when you were on foot, you really didn't have any of that. And sometimes it was like, where the heck am I supposed to go? I had a little bit of trouble with that. So, I mean, the base of the game was okay. Um, but it there was some troubles that I had with it, and again, the story and everything just wasn't pulling me through um all that much. So, it's okay. It might be worth picking up on a sale or something, but not it was okay. Another disappointment, Saints Row. They did have some nice accessibility features, mainly with like the high contrast mode, um, and they had the kind of glowing arrows for some of the navigation. But you had to go in and out of the menus to turn the high contrast mode on. And again, some of the navigation stuff was really wiggy. I remember being out in the desert somewhere, and I was like, "Where am I supposed to go?" Like the marker just was not really behaving itself. And then the story and the characters, like Saints Row 3 and 4, were funny. I enjoyed those a lot back in the day, and I just really did not care about the story or these characters. They just meh. Just something about this game just did not click with me. It had some performance and technical issues, although I didn't really have that too much. I played the PS5 version and it seemed okay, but I heard the PC port was a little rough. I don't know if they've fixed that since, but yeah, Saints Row could have been better. Oh yeah, a couple goofy games that came out this fall. The Toilet Chronicles, a weird little first-person adventure game that takes place in a public bathroom. I did a video for it, and it is probably even more bizarre than you would think. So go ahead and check that out. It's one of those games where you play through it several times, and it's a short game, but you're trying to figure out different things that you can do and trigger different endings. So yeah, that one is a really weird one. The Toilet Chronicles. Another goofy one. This one I actually really enjoyed, although I'm bad at it. Trombone Champ. You got your Guitar Hero, your Rock Band. Oh no, man, we got Trombone Champ. And it's so funny because you're playing all these public domain songs, and the way, you just moving your mouse up and down and clicking or using the keyboard to play a note. But it's not like set notes. You're literally just sliding down this smooth scale with your bow, and it's so hard to be accurate. So you're always just a little off kilter, a little off key, out of tune. And there's something just really funny about trying to keep up and play these ridiculous songs. And you sound like like the Simpsons would always do these like really bad renditions of like, oh, here's the grade school, or even South Park. I remember did like, the elementary kids are playing songs and they just sound bad, and people are like, oh yeah, that's really good, and it was just awful. But it was just this really, and then there was this whole weird like ape or gorilla thing going on in the background, like this, and you're sacrificing these things for the devil, and it was just a bizarre game that I actually really enjoyed. Um, so yeah, Trombone Champ, The Quarry. This is another one that I kind of want to get back to. This is kind of your like a third-person adventure game, horror themed, and you're making a lot of dialogue choices, some quick time events, really story based. Like your different characters. It's like your '80s horror movie type of thing where people, different things can happen to them, and in one playthrough somebody might even die, or multiple characters might even die. I didn't get too far into it yet just because I've been so busy that this fall has just been so ridiculously busy that yeah, it has just been wow. There's so like I've been want like I have to like, oh, I got to cover this. Oh, now I got to cover that. There's just been so many things that I've had to cover that this one is one that kind of fell by the wayside after I got into a little bit. So I would like to check more of that out, The Quarry. Same thing with New Tales from the Borderlands. This was actually kind of cool. I was digging the multiple storylines. You had like 3 or 4 characters that were kind of interweaving with each other, and it's in the Borderlands universe. I did not play the first one. I do own it now. But the second one, New Tales from the Borderlands, did have some accessibility features, but I won't. It is not a totally blind accessible game, which is why I put it here. It does have some nice accessibility features for low vision, but again, I would not call it a totally blind playable game, unfortunately. And I'm kind of curious to see where the story goes. Again, this is another one that I ran out of time and I just never got back to. Um, so yeah, New Tales from the Borderlands. I do want to play that. And speaking of Borderlands, I have not done a video for this yet, and I'm kind of going to wait for my new rig. But the Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, I did play a little bit of that on my current rig, and it didn't run super great, and it didn't look super good. So I think I will really enjoy this more when I upgrade again. But this one, basically, Tiny Tina is she's running a D&D campaign, and you're one of the characters, and you're playing from that character's point of view. So instead of your overall hub world, you have a game board, and you're wandering around the game board and you're unlocking things. But then when you go into certain areas, like a forest or a cave or a stronghold or whatever, then you go into more of your traditional Borderlands type levels. And it, like I said, the humor, it depends on if you're into that kind of humor or not. Some of it I could take it or leave it. Some of it's kind of funny. But it's yeah, it's I do want to play that one a little bit more because I enjoyed what I played of that so far. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Here we go. Remember I mentioned the Turtles games and um how great the Cowabunga collection was. Well, this fall we got Atari 50, also by Digital Eclipse, and damn, this sets the standard for how a retro collection should be done. They didn't just throw in a bunch of Atari games and be done with it. You can play them. You can bring up a menu and just go through your Atari games by platform, your 2600, your 5200, 7800, a Jaguar, even a few games. I wish they would have gotten a little bit more for Jaguar games. Um, some of the Atari computer stuff, the Atari 800, 400, 800. But what they did is they packaged it in such a great way. It's more of a museum, a documentary of a history of Atari. There are cartridge scans, manuals, there are video interviews with people on all kinds of different games and topics. There's like old press stuff. There's just, and it's all presented in these timelines. It's like a history. It's a historical museum of Atari, and it's done so well that it really, like I said, it just, these guys are putting every other company to shame when it comes to preserving game history and bringing old classics to modern game platforms. Like Rare Replay did an okay job. There's been other ones that have done a few little videos here and there, or like I said, Cowabunga Collection had tons of stuff in their Turtles lair. But I mean, no, Atari 50 just it sets a new standard. And when people release more collections in the future, which of course they're inevitably hopefully going to do, they really need to look at what these guys have done because again, it like I said, some of these like there's a lot of these games in the Atari collection that were not fun to play. They just don't hold up very well. but they are historically significant in a way. It's like, oh yeah, well, Pong, that'll hold my attention for 3 minutes. But yeah, you can play Pong, but you learn about it. You learn about the, some of the historical significance of it. Some weird, obscure console game that had like a new mechanic or tried something really different. Was it the funnest to play? No, maybe not, but it really in the way that it was presented, it was still fascinating, and then you wanted to play it and check it out to see what all the hubbub was about. Atari 50, awesome job, and then they even added a few like what 4, 5, 6 remaster, like the haunted house, and then there's like this vector graphics one, a multiplayer version of Combat essentially. They took a couple of these really classics that everyone loved and just made them, just took like a modern spin on them and threw them in there too. So Atari 50, good job, guys. Stray. This was another surprise. Third person, kind of a platformy, maybe puzzle-ish kind of a game. But you play as a little four-legged kitty cat, a stray cat. And I love cats. I wish that you could have customized like the look of your cat, like with the color of fur or like what kind of cat it was or whatever. But like I love the cat parts. I wasn't really digging the weird dystopian sci-fi thing. I think it would have been a better game if it was just more about like the cat stuff and didn't dive into all this weird like robot people and all that stuff. Like you could make a game that was just about a stray cat like trying to either like find its way home or maybe find an owner or like just surviving on the streets and like or just exploring. Like you don't even need, it's kind of like the whole Life is Strange thing where it's like, okay, the story itself is really good, but you always got to have a supernatural element to it, and I don't think you do. um so like there were parts I really really liked about Stray. And I love playing as a little cat like that. I mean, that they nailed that aspect of it. But I just wasn't really digging the whole like sci-fi dystopian thing. I mean, it worked, but I don't know, something about it. But Stray was pretty neat though. I still enjoyed it. Pentiment. Um, I wish this one was totally blind accessible because it is so close. The problem is you need some additional navigational cues for navigating around the world. And some of like when you pause the game and you look at your journal, you look at some of your map and everything, none of that really speaks, but all of the characters' text dialogue does speak, and it's a really kind of a neat game. There's no combat, there's no real puzzles. It's all about dialogue and choices. You're choosing your character's background. You have to choose like, when you do certain things, um, time passes, so like it'll trigger like a passage of time, and you're only able to do so many things, and you have to kind of really pick and choose how you want to handle situations. It kind of starts out just innocently enough, but then soon after, a couple hours into the game, you find out there's been a murder, and you have to solve this mystery, and it depends on how you handle it. And I have not finished the game yet because it's actually really long. Um, some of the old, because it takes place in, was it like the 1400s or something like that. The setting is really interesting in a way, but it it just there's I don't have a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for, like a lot of um knowledge about that time, or I'm not quite as interested in that time. But for what it does extremely well, and I'm very very happy that it does the dialogue, that it has the text to speech for all the dialogue, because I would absolutely not play that game otherwise. Um, but yeah, Pentiment would like to try to finish that story at some point as well. What do we got here? Oh, Rumbleverse. I finally got around to trying this recently. And I really don't play all that many multiplayer games these days. This is a melee. kind of almost like a wrestling cheesy over the top wrestling melee based battle royale. You got 40 players that get launched onto this island, and you beat the living crap out of each other. You try to survive. Yeah, it's a really fun game, actually. Again, it's another one that I want to play more of. But I played it quite a bit over the past month or so. Did a video for it. Um, I like I said, the whole wrestling thing. You pick up the weapons and you bash people with them. You jump off of skyscrapers and just like plow down, like just land on somebody. Um, it's a really fun game, and I think the fact that it's primarily melee based, where you don't have to worry about somebody sniping you from halfway across the map where you can't see them anyway, is what really turned me onto the game. It's actually a little more low vision friendly. Like the art style is fun, just the presentation is fun, and the gameplay is solid. So yeah, I think I found the battle royale game that I actually rather enjoy. Um, oh yes, Little Inferno Ho Ho Holiday. This came out of nowhere for me, and I had no idea. I wouldn't have even known it existed. But I was literally looking to see if Steam had like a little interactive fireplace game for this series of end of year videos. And I just typed in fireplace, and one of the things that came up was I saw Little Inferno, but then I saw Little Inferno Ho Ho Holiday. I'm like, what is this? I didn't even know this existed. Little Inferno has been out for several years now, and I've really enjoyed it. But I thought it was something like, whoa, how did I miss this expansion? When did that come out? And I looked at the release date, and it was November of this year. So literally, they just released it within a month ago. And I did a video for it. I recorded a video for it. I'm probably going to release that on Christmas. I have a video for Christmas Eve, and I have a video for Christmas. So by the time this video comes out, you will have access to that video on the channel. Um, But yeah, you get a whole new story. You get a whole new catalog of items to burn. You're sitting in front of this fireplace and you're burning your toys and you're ordering things from a catalog, trying to build combos, and you're getting these letters from somebody. In the original game, it was someone on the other side of the wall from you in like his own little apartment or whatnot. In this game, you've got some weird, like, he claims to be this elite hacker guy who is a little full of himself, but yeah, it's a weird game, man. But I really enjoy it. It's kind of got this weird, quirky but dark humor. I really enjoy Little Inferno. So I am more than likely by the end of the year, I'm going to finish that story because it should be pretty short, and I do want to see what other kind of shenanigans I get to burn in that game. Um, And that's most of the games that I can really think of. I mean, Elden Ring, I didn't do a video for. I did pick it up on sale on the PS5, and I get what it's trying to do, and I totally respect it for it. I, it's it basically took the Dark Souls formula and made it open world. There's tons you can explore. I got to the point where I found a horse, so I could ride that around. Every sort of boss that I ran into, I just got absolutely wrecked. And even regular like enemies can wreck you, especially in the beginning. I don't know. I just like, and the problem is a lot of the UI. There's no text to speech. The text is small. There's tons of like you always got to manage all of your. Again, I'll manage all of your stats and skills and inventories, and I was kind of bashing my head against it for a while, trying to get somewhere in it. And like I said, I can tell it's an extremely well made game, and I can tell that I know I can totally get why people love it. It's just not working for me. It's just not clicking for me, and some of the accessibility issues with it. I just it just wasn't going to be a thing for me. So Elden Ring, as much as I wanted to love it, meh, you know. It's another one that I didn't jump on the bandwagon with everyone this year. So yeah, Elden Ring. And then we have like Apple Arcade games. There's been a few there. The main one that I remember though is Jetpack Joyride 2. They actually made this a Apple Arcade exclusive, and I remember when I started covering iOS games, Jetpack Joyride might have been, it was one of the first games that I covered for iOS. It might have even been the first one that I covered. It is one of the first games that I played when I got my original iPad 2. And they have a sequel and they varied up the gameplay a little bit. It is really, really fun. They have a lot of different modes. They've added new mechanics. Like you actually have a gun now that you can fight back, a little laser gun that you can modify and everything. And it's just a really fun little game. Um, I'm trying to remember. I know there's been a couple of other Apple Arcade games, and I can't even think of really what they are. But the nice thing about these is basically you pay the subscription, and you don't have to pay all of all of the microtransactions, all this other mobile bullshit has been taken out. So you don't have to worry about that. You can just play the game and enjoy it, play it however you want. And yeah, so I definitely, that's one thing that I want to look into more next year since I do have the subscription. There's been a couple games that I've played that I've enjoyed. And I do want to, I think I recorded a video for another one that I just haven't released yet. But I'm curious to see what is going to happen with that. And the good news is, what I will say to wrap this up is, speaking of Apple and low vision, unfortunately, some of the, like, their little store mechanics where I could restore the purchases. Um, they disabled the store features. So like I had bought the full game of, remember I was talking about Maximum Car or Maximum Car. Just the whole death metal theme song is so good. I mean, it's a mobile racing game that combines like Burnout 3 style takedowns. That's the focus of the game, and it's racing and it controls extremely well. It is like the my favorite. It controls so well. It's arcadey. It's got the takedowns. It's got the cheesy death metal and the announcer that's kind of dumb humor, but it is what it is. But they brought the game back, and I've been playing through it again. The problem is I had to start all over because, like I said, they disabled all of the, like, you go into the store section and everything has been disabled. So I can no longer restore my purchases to get rid of ads, and I can't seem to sync my old content that I had um, with it. So it's like, well, crap. I mean, it wasn't such a big deal because it's not hard to play through the whole game again, and it just gives me another excuse to do so. But I'm really just happy to say that one of my other favorite iOS games, Maximum Car, I was so disappointed when I couldn't have brought that forward to my iPad Pro. But it is on there now, and yes, I can play some Maximum Car, so life is good again. And the funny thing is, that is what I have for day one. And I couldn't have really timed that any better because our friendly little turtle guy here, Leonardo, we are fighting Shredder in the Technodrome. So you're pretty much getting to see a full playthrough of this game. I might just babble on a couple minutes more just so, like, you know what? Hey, well, since we're already here, I'll let you guys see the ending. But yeah, those are some of the games, like I said, that I've either, a couple of them didn't come out this year. Most of them did, but a lot of them, there's been some great surprises. I mean, most of what I played is indie games. Most of what I've had fun with was indie games. Yeah, there's a few triple A's here and there, and some of those even, like, I actually got reviewer codes, so I don't, like Saints Row and Gotham Knights. I don't know if I would have bought those if I would have not have gotten a review code for them, because at least I would have waited to see. But again, indie games is where I'm finding the most fun, the most innovation, just the most. I'm really liking a lot of these games. And I'll talk about, some when I on the last day when we talk about some of the things that I did and some of the cool things that I got this year. I of course have to mention the Steam Deck. and the Xbox Series S. So I'll talk about those in another video. But yeah, you didn't have your like. There's not been. I know people consider Elden Ring to be that way, maybe God of War to be that way, but for me, this wasn't a year where there was like that. Oh, there's this one AAA game like a Zelda or a Elder Scrolls game or something like that that just like towered above all the rest that that stood out. But what was here? I mean, like I said, Vampire Survivors just sucked hours away from my life. Power Wash Simulator, the Stanley Parable, Arcade Paradise. Just okay, there we go. There's the Technodrome. Eat it, Shredder. Yeah, there we go. Oh yeah. Not only did they, yeah, they just that Technodrome is that is gonna not be easily repairable. I think the whole major part of it just got blown up. This is just um, bottom part left. So yeah, there's your ending for the first day, and there is your ending for the first the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game. So um, I'm sure I'll think of more, a couple things that I missed here and there, but hope you guys enjoyed the video. Give it a like if you did. Follow me on Twitter at BGFH79, twitch.tv/illegally-cited, illegally-cited.com, and right here on YouTube. So until next time, I will chat with you guys again later and see you in part 2.